This is Ray, Manchester United supporter and P1 supporter. Fuck the rest of the league. Red Devils are going to win this shit. Peace out, baby. Oh, and you're listening to the DU Football Show.
Sure.
At least somebody at United is going to get a trophy this season.
I mean, you could have did us a solid and just rolled over and died and played like shit like you've been doing for the last month, but no, you had to get lucky a couple times and fucking screw us over. Fuck the goddamn Prem. Let's start the show.
Born in the land of Bowie, Maryland. Bred to be a fan of fucking Everton. Punch you in the eye and drink your rye. Sam Houston.
Sam Houston?
Arsenal fans have another Sam. AKA the fucking Gooner Graham. Stump of a lord. Look straight in shorts. Sam Graham, hey.
Sam Graham.
Fucking United! Fucking United!
Hello and welcome to the DU Football Show, a completely biased recap of the English Premier League as told by two common American schmucks. I'm your host, Sam Houston, and across the way from me, the man that desperately wants to build a snowman, my co-host, Mr. Samuel Graham. Sammy, how you doing, buddy?
Doing pretty good. How are you?
I'm hanging in there, you know. An accomplished day today.
Okay.
Just got a lot of little tiny knick-knacky things done, you know? One of those days where you go, yeah, I lifed today.
Yeah.
I took care of life shit today. You
Yeah.
just feel good about it.
All
So
right.
That's how I feel.
That
you
was
know?
me yesterday.
Yeah, see? Yeah, you have that day and you're like, yeah.
Guess what's getting delivered tomorrow?
What's getting delivered tomorrow?
Basement beer fridge.
Ah, he finally has the basement beer fridge.
Extra full refrigerator for the house.
Uh-huh.
A little on the small side for a full refrigerator, but still a full refrigerator. It's as tall as I am, 3 feet wide, 2.5 feet deep, you know, whatever. It's a full fridge. But that's getting delivered tomorrow. Guess how much we got it for?
How much?
$383 after tax out the door. Free delivery.
Fantastic. Well
23% off for Black Friday. $50 gift card from a sales rep friend for the housewarming. When we signed up for Verizon at the new house, $200 Home Depot gift card. Applied both of those towards it. So the $840 freezer ends up walking out the door at home with us for $383.
Very good. Freezer or fridge, you mean?
It's a fridge freezer. So
Okay, very
it's
good.
a top load kind of old school freezer.
Oh, okay. Very good.
Yeah.
Very
LG,
good.
baby.
All right. Well,
Very excited. So cold beer in the basement, won't have to walk upstairs.
all right, well, expectation.
You and I will be less close to dying then.
Well, no, you just need to go ahead and take care of that, 30-rack ice house. Go ahead and put that on in there because Daddy's going to need his ice-cold, refreshing ice house every time he comes over.
Yeah. Maybe.
As I dribble it all over the front of myself. We're recording at the DU Public House just outside the nation's capital. You can check us out on all podcast platforms. And, of course, streaming live every single Monday night. Should you want to chat with us, there is many ways that you can. Mr. Graham, tell the good people how they can get in touch.
Absolutely. It is at DU Football Show on all the social medias and dufootballshow@gmail.com to get in touch via email.
All right. You know what? I'm not even fucking wasting any time. Sam and myself both work in the wine and spirit industry and both have a deep, passionate love for all things distilled spirits. So as the red-blooded Americans we are, we've had to have a drink in our hand throughout this show and every single show. I am rushing to it because I am excited as shit to try it.
I'm surprised.
Again, never doubt our ability to get something we want.
Yeah.
Mr. Graham, tell the good people what we're enjoying today.
We are going to enjoy a wee dram of WhistlePig, the BossHog, Everton's 10-point deduction. I mean, X, number 10, WhistlePig BossHog, the Commandments. This is a barrel-proof whiskey, 106.4 proof. That's 53.2 if you're counting at home. Ours came from barrel number 14, in case you were wondering. This one is quite interesting of a read. I'm just going to do the blurb from the website because they, know what they're talking about. BossHog X transcends tradition with a double finish inspired by our own land of milk and honey. Each barrel of straight rye whiskey is aged in new American oak before completing its journey in two unorthodox finishing barrels. The first is seasoned with our own experimental spirit, distilled from rye and whey. Excuse me. I don't know how I mixed those two words together, but I did. Infused with aromatic resins. Mel, that should get you excited. From the genera commonly known as frankincense and myrrh. Thus, taking it back to the old country, milk and honey.
Right.
Delivering notes of creme brulee, lemongrass, and rosemary to the final whiskey. The second and final finish is aged in craft mead casks, offering a mellow, round-bodied finish with hints of red berries and freshly crushed black pepper. The result, thousands of years worth of wonder condensed into a bottle of biblical proportions, righteously rendered at barrel proof. So let's see if that lives up to the website blurb.
The nose is delightful. I haven't taken a sip yet. I definitely get a lot of lemon. You get a lot of that honey from obviously the mead.
Yeah, I get a lot of honey.
Yeah, a little bit of tannin as well.
I almost get the pepper on the nose.
So
I almost get a little spicy note on the finish of the nose there. That almost like a lemon pepper.
Yeah. I'll give you that. The this is the second BossHog from Master Blender Megan Ireland. It was previously Pete Lynch, and then Pete Lynch was trained by obviously the late great Dave Pickerel. Yep. We saw with last year's a lot of nose, but a little different in the flavor, a little more softer and nuanced. I'm wondering if maybe that's more Megan's style, and how she does things. I haven't tasted yet, but the thing I knew with Pete, and I know Pete well, he was always very bold and aggressive in his flavors.
Yeah.
So
I'm almost getting like a baking spice over the middle now too, on the nose.
The nose
that
is
could
lovely.
be like the creme brulee there.
106. You said that's interesting because they're normally like in that like 115, 118 range. So
106.4.
I don't have an issue with it being a little lower. If the barrel's good, the barrel's good. It doesn't matter what the proof is. Well, let's get a taste in here.
It's supple.
Ooh,
I get the honey.
big honey.
Definitely get the honey.
It's a lot of honey up front for me.
A lot of lemon, which is frankincense, has that kind of lemony thing.
Almost acidic.
Myrrh is going to be a little tannic, which I get a little tannin to it. So the resin barrel gives it a little backbone.
The kind of finish is almost
it's not just all sweet.
The kind of finish is almost like a spicy burnt marshmallow on the end. I like it. It sounds strange, but I like it.
I definitely get creme brulee, like that sugary, creamy,
like burnt sugar. Yeah, but it's a cream. Like I said, it's almost like a burnt marshmallow.
Yeah, it's definitely good. It's definitely got some viscosity to it, some creaminess, and it lays on the tongue. Knocked out of the park with this one.
I think this one's exceptional.
I very, very, very much like this one.
Amazing flavors.
This one's exceptional.
It's like I said, with last year's, again, whenever we're talking about bottles like this, we're being, it's like a chef on Top Chef, and you say they didn't add enough salt, right? You're just being picky. My only issues with last year is the big nose didn't necessarily resonate in flavor. Like I didn't like. When I smelt that big fig, I really wanted to taste big fig. Here, I smell honey and I taste honey. So that connection's there. This is a delightful fucking bottle of whiskey.
This is very good. Usually retails around $600, so be careful with this. And it is a pleasure and a privilege to have it. And pat us on the back for being who we are.
Knowing people to get things done.
That's right.
And whenever we drink something like this, Mr. Graham, how should we drink it?
Get fucking shit-faced. Because it's delicious. No, I'm just kidding. Always make sure to drink responsibly, of course.
I love it. Let's get into the action, Mr. Graham. Cheers.
Cheers to you, sir. Cheers to the gubnut.
Listen to all those perfect clinks going around.
I like it. It kind of made me horny. What a way to start.
Graham's Randy tonight. On Sunday, all eyes were on Goodison Park, and the storyline had nothing to do with the match that was about to be played, more so about the people that were watching it. Manchester United 3, Everton 0. Goodison was fucking insane, dude.
Yes, it was a fucking cauldron.
I mean, it was weird because you can sense the absolute anger from the crowd.
Oh, big time.
But trying to do it in a way of we're behind you boys, right? Because like you could, it was never anger at the boys on the pitch. It was never anger at
For once, it's
coach.
not anger at the board.
Yeah, I mean, it's the board got us here. We're here because of that,
of course. But it's almost you almost got the sense a little bit. Mushiri's like, obviously everyone at the club is going to be disappointed because it kind of devalues the club then a bit for
Right,
what
of course.
the asking price would be. But you almost got to think that in the back of his mind, he's like, silver lining, they're not looking at me right now.
Yeah, no
You know
shit.
what I mean?
And that lasted for 3 minutes.
Well, you know what? It's funny about that. We talk about the emotion and the cauldron and the craziness and how psycho the stadium was and the atmosphere and everything else. What do you need to do with that? 19-year-old South American makes total sense.
Yeah.
Why the fuck wouldn't it have been a 19-year-old South American?
Right, fucking wonder goal.
Exactly.
A fucking wonder goal.
You know what? The move was pretty slick up until the cross, which was horrific.
Yeah.
The cross was terrible.
Yeah, you had to run back out to it.
Garnacho fully fucking improvised that, and it was amazing. What a goal that was! It was better than Wayne Rooney's against City.
And you can't blame what's a phaser? You can't blame Young for not going out to him.
I wouldn't have gone out to him.
You don't think he has any shot at that fucking thing? You know, like it was perfectly fucking hit. I mean,
Pickford can't do anything unless he turns into Inspector Gadget all of a sudden with those little arms. What's he gonna do there?
Even normal arms wouldn't have gotten to that.
But yeah, no, I mean, I just thought it was funny that Garnacho all season has been actually one of the players for me after the way he ended last campaign. Disappointed me, at the beginning of this season for Manchester United because he showed so much promise. And it's just funny we always talk about how insane South American football is, and how those players kind of deal with those atmospheres. You think of like Boca Juniors of River Plate. You think of, the two Montevideo clubs in Uruguay and how, somebody normally gets stabbed outside and like all that kind of shit.
Complete insanity.
And so this atmosphere, you could see the European players are kind of nervous and like the things were, I think y'all had a chance right off the kickoff, essentially, you know?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it was a little testy there for a second. And then the guy goes, you know what? This is just like home.
Yeah.
Fucking bicycle kick. Yeah, it's like, what?
Worth mentioning, of course, all of the faithful at Goodison, and you could see it all throughout the stadium at the beginning as they walked out. Of course, they were booing up until the moment that the boys walked on the pitch for when Zed Cars was playing. And
Because
then they
before that, isn't it the Premier League anthem that plays, right?
They do it after that.
Oh, they do it after
come
that,
out,
okay.
they line up, and as they line up and start to play the Premier League anthem, the whole place just erupts in a loud boo, and everybody is holding up. The entire stadium is just nothing but the pink Premier League logo with the word corrupt underneath it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's fucking everywhere. You couldn't see a blank spot. Like everyone was holding one up. And then that goal happens, and like you and I were talking a little bit offline, Everton, the place got a little quiet.
Yeah.
And,
I mean, how could you not?
And then at the 10-minute mark, all the signs went up again, and you couldn't make out the chant at first, but if you listen carefully, you hear them saying, the Premier League is a fucking joke.
Yep.
And they chanted that for a straight fucking minute, and Everton turned it on. They start getting shots. They're really putting Manchester United on their back heels, and honestly, Everton had the better chances throughout this game.
Overall, yes.
United was just clinical. United did an old school Fergie job, like the weather the storm, go up 1-0. Opportune time at the start of the second half, go up 2-0.
Yep.
Put it away near the end. They didn't do much exceptionally well.
No.
Everton really took it to him. Everton could not put the ball in the back of the fucking net, and go figure. Onana suddenly knows how to make saves and play goalie.
Yeah. Do you remember he was a goalkeeper?
The most Everton thing
no shit.
fucking ever.
That's yeah. It was a pretty wild game. It was. You could tell the players were feeding off the crowd. You could tell, that the crowd was feeding off the players. I mean, that the energy in that building was intense, and I thought United managed that well for the first time this season, really. Because they are actually coming into this game, they are the form team in the league.
All right. Well, I mean, also
They've gotten 12 more points in the last 8 games or so, like 12 points in the last 7 games or whatever it is. That they're actually the form team in the league right now.
And we also said they were going to do that after they lost to City. We were like, they're going to win games. They're not going to win them pretty, and which is what
which they didn't. Right. But the eye test would show you that they are not the form team in the Premier League.
Right.
Until Garnacho elevated them back to an elite club status.
Let's see how they look against Newcastle this next week.
Yeah.
You know, that really is the question.
Spoiler alert to my bet of the week. I've got Newcastle winning.
Yeah, because I mean, even though they won 3-0, the scoreline is not indicative of what that match was at all.
No.
At all. And I'll go ahead and say it right now. Absolutely a penalty. It was absolutely a penalty. He got him with the toe. It's a foul. And I can understand why the ref called it a dive at first, because he was directly behind the play. And it looks just like he's going over looking for a foul. But, you know, soft. Yeah, it was soft. But that's
the nature of it.
That's right? This modern day.
What do we always say? Don't put yourself in a position to give the referee a decision.
And we're going to say that a couple of more times today about other matches.
No shit.
Don't put yourself in a situation to get yourself looked at by the referee. Don't give him a decision to make. Here's something very interesting. That should have been a second yellow. He should have been sent off, shouldn't he have?
Yeah, possibly, yeah.
I got a theory.
Okay.
That ref was afraid there would flat out be a legitimate fucking riot if he handed a second yellow card.
Yeah.
And I don't think he's wrong in thinking that.
Remind people to who and for what?
To Ashley Young.
To Ashley Young. Yeah,
Ashley Young for the penalty.
Just for a second, I couldn't remember what the fuck you were talking about.
Yeah, Ashley Young with the penalty, and it was, especially considering that like McTominay had 3 fouls literally in a 5-minute span and got a talking to and didn't get a card, but Decore got a card for arguing with the ref about it, and it was like he just committed 3 hard fouls in 5 minutes, and you've already given our guy a yellow card in Ashley Young, which that yellow card he deserved.
Didn't Decore have the captain's armband on, or is that Pickford?
It's Tarkovsky.
Oh, it's Tarkovsky.
Yeah, Tarkovsky's number 1, Pickford's number 2. Well, technically Coleman is number 1.
Right, yeah, but he's been out injured. Yeah,
Coleman was on the bench.
Yeah, he's coming back, which is good. This is following the leg break he sustained with Ireland, isn't it?
No. This was an injury at the end of the season with Everton.
Okay.
Yeah. But
you're going to need him in this run-in. I mean, and here's the other thing, right? I mean, we've talked about it a few times off air, of course, but and you have this as your last talking point here is the upcoming schedule.
Well, let's do that in just a moment. First and foremost, I want to go ahead and take the shot. It's what it is. The players played for the badge. The crowd was there for the team. It just didn't work out this day. Keep doing that. We'll be all right. Like, we'll get it figured out, and we'll come on to what they have for the schedule coming up. But yeah, we find ways to pull off fucking little miracles from time to time. And I feel like if that attitude stays the same, Everton's going to be fine.
I'm just hoping you don't run out of miracles by the time it's all said and done, because after the last 2 seasons of escaping relegation, that could be, it's the best stadium in the championship again.
I've got my thoughts. I got my thoughts on that, which we'll get to in a moment to end. But do the quick shot here.
I do real quick before you finish up and go on what I'm sure is going to be an epic rant. I do want to point out, I think it was on X, twitter.com, that the Premier League, didn't they put a statement out about with the Premier League corrupt signs? Didn't they put a statement out saying something along the lines of like, well, actually, it was an independent regulatory commission that handed down the 10-point deduction, not us.
I didn't like, see
okay,
that.
nerd.
I didn't see that, but I love how they try to automatically pass the buck.
It's just funny. I mean, it is an independent regulatory commission, however,
regulatory
that you appointed.
That has people who have run other fucking clubs in the Premier League.
So it's like, fuck you, nerd. Like, nobody cares.
No.
Shut the fuck up.
No, you're the corrupt ones because you're letting it stand. We'll see what happens with the appeal and all that. But the schedule for Everton, not easy coming up. There's 3 quite winnable games in there, but there are also 2 of them are on the road. Now, good news, Everton's been a lot better on the road this season than they have been at home.
Yeah.
Remember, only 1 win and 1 draw at home, including losses to Wolves, Fulham, and Luton at home.
Right.
Right? Like, you can swallow a loss to Arsenal or United. You could swallow those losses, but those other 3, pretty fucking tough to take.
Right. I mean, we talk about it all the time where you're going to have a manager will sit down at the beginning of the season and earmark games like, I think we can get points here. I think we can get points here. You would have never put that against Arsenal or Manchester United, and especially in the position you found yourselves in at the end of last season and how the season began.
Right.
You wouldn't have. This is an expected result that you had this past weekend. It's something that you'll be able to weather.
Now, next up is Forest at the City Ground. They're very good there, but they also just lost there this past week. Then it's Chelsea and Newcastle.
Sorry.
Chelsea and Newcastle both at home. You don't know how healthy Newcastle is. They looked pretty fucking healthy this week. Chelsea are young.
Helped in that, though.
Yeah, Chelsea are young. They could be really great or really bad. It's hard to figure out which one they're going to be. Then after that, you have Burnley. Then it's, I believe, at Tottenham, home to City, and away to Wolves. Away to Wolves is tough, but if we're going to be out of the discussion, we need to hand them the same defeat they handed us in their building. We have to do that. Burnley at home should be winnable, but we love to drop points at home to newly relegated sides. We've been doing it now for 10 fucking years. We always love to do that to newly relegated sides.
Promoted sides.
Promoted side. I'm sorry. We're not relegated sides. Brains in that zone right now.
Don't talk about yourself in the third person, okay? It's unbecoming.
I'm trying to stop that. Thank you for pointing it out. The City match you assume is just going to be a loss. You know, it's just how much do you mitigate the damages? Do you make it a close, you lost 2-0 and you played them really well. And like we've had before, it took a couple of really good goals for them to beat us. You can walk away from that. Spurs, it all depends on how fucking healthy they are.
Yeah.
If James Madison is back, we're losing.
Yep.
If he's not, we got a shot. We like to be a thorn in Spurs' side, but it doesn't help that Bournemouth and Luton both won this weekend.
Correct.
So the original thought was win this weekend and you're out of the relegation zone. Even if we had won, we still would have been in the relegation zone.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just what we do, it's what they do. And if you have a real bad run all through December and you come to January and you're still sitting in the relegation zone and you're a lot of points out, that could be a lot of fucking problems right there.
We have a lot of ground to make up.
An awful lot of problems.
And you also have to imagine that those couple of clubs, Luton especially, having managed their finances properly, have money to spend in January if they so desire.
Right.
You all don't.
Yeah,
you can't
we don't.
strengthen.
We don't.
There is no real kind of chance where you get better unless you do it on the training ground.
Right. Now, I would say, though, we already got the pieces we need. Like the team,
I think so.
The team's fairly strong. It's just, how does that happen after a really bad run?
Yep.
Or, but if you come out of that and you win 3 of them, you tie 1 or 2, you're in great shape.
I think in those games, I think if you can get 2 to 3 wins and 1 draw.
Yeah.
In that run of, what was it, 7 games where you have,
you come out
said
all
you
right.
have Burnley in there, you have Luton in there, right?
No, Burnley, Forest
Forest
Chelsea,
lost to Woney for a couple of months, so you got a chance there.
Forest, Chelsea at home.
Chelsea, maybe.
Newcastle at home. It all depends on what Chelsea shows up. Newcastle depends on how healthy they are, even though we like to shit the bed against Newcastle because Pickford gets all up in his feelings about being from Sunderland.
And it looks like their forward line is starting to be a bit healthier. Isak's back earlier than scheduled, scored at the weekend, of course. So and you wouldn't expect to have won that anyway.
And then you have Burnley at home.
You would hope that's key.
A win. And then it's at Spurs. Again, how healthy are they? You're probably going to lose that one.
Away is tough in that.
City at home, you're probably losing that one. And then Wolves on the road. And the problem is that's right after that's the third game in 10 days, essentially. How fresh are you by the end?
Exactly.
And mixed into all of that, also to forget, a League Cup quarterfinal at home to Fulham. Mm-hmm. So there's that as well. I could say the following. Obviously I make the jokes about the documents and all the fucking, conspiracy theories and all that kind of stuff. You see a game like that and the way it all kind of went down. And just as a supporter, you start to feel like maybe they are out to get us. Like our guys get a couple of yellows quick. Their guys are out there fouling like crazy. They get no yellows, a penalty. They look at VAR for them, but they're not looking at VAR for us. Like I saw Dominic Calvert-Lewin just have somebody draped around him, holding him, but that doesn't get looked at. And you're just like, maybe they are against us. Maybe they do want us out of the fucking league. Like,
well, I mean, everybody made fun of Arteta for his outburst, but if you look at most of the games this weekend, the level of officiating in the Premier League is atrocious.
And you start to wonder, well, just if they want an example. They want an example so they can go, the FA and the Premier League can stand there and go, we manage our league while other teams get to run corrupt. And it's kind of a shame because the biggest factor, one of the most interesting stories that I heard, it was the gentleman for Sky Sports who comes and talks on Premier League mornings, had said the biggest difference between Everton and Manchester City, Everton admitted to it. And Everton worked with them, but they ultimately admitted to it. All 115 charges that City have, they haven't admitted to. They vehemently have denied.
Have you heard what the Sheikh said? Sheikh Mansour? He said something along the lines of, I don't care if I did it or not, but I would rather you all, we're going to figure it out. I have more money than you, and I could pay for lawyers to drag this out until you get tired of dealing with it. And essentially,
that's the tough part about it is that.
But then you have the mayor of Manchester writing the Premier League telling them that their process sucks.
Yeah,
and it's a flawed process. Did you see that? Mm-hmm. The mayor of Manchester.
Now you,
which I'm sure he's not going to be on someone's hit list.
You see all of that, and it's deterring. You know, because you wonder, as you always like to say, points on the board are more important than the games in hand. And it's like we look at it and go, Everton should be able to get themselves out of it. But what if it starts to snowball? What if everybody starts to not care? And I just can't help but keep thinking, Premier League's corrupt, man. Premier League is corrupt.
We're going to be on a shit list.
Exactly. We turn our attention to the top with Arsenal on top for now. Well, Arsenal now on top. City and Liverpool play to a stalemate. And Aston Villa now sit amongst the top four. Man City 1, Liverpool 1, Arsenal 1, Brentford 0, Aston Villa 2, Tottenham Hotspur 1. City Liverpool, unlike the last couple they've had, this was not a good match.
This is a very traditional top six game. Yeah. Very cagey, very kind of feeling each other out. Nobody too scared to move for real. It was like getting in a fight at the club. You're like, there's a lot of pushing and shoving, but nobody's willing to throw that punch.
Well, and City it wasn't like City didn't have opportunities after they scored that first goal. They just never.
They never really threatened. I mean, Alisson had to make a couple of saves, but nothing spectacular until near the end.
And a few called back. But the problem is you allow.
But Alisson almost also fucked up and very close. Could have given a penalty away, or just there'd been a no call. Mm-hmm. I think it was a coming together with.
He had a couple.
Somebody.
He had a couple where he got away with coming together with someone, and they called it in favor of the keeper. Which, I'm a keeper. I'm not going to argue. Protect the goalie, but yeah.
I think he could have dealt with the situation properly and not put it in the hands of the referee and put himself under duress.
And he did that twice.
Right, exactly.
One of them went in the back of the net. One of them could have if it didn't get called because he was in no man's land in that situation too. Yeah, because he dropped the ball as he was falling into the net right on the line.
But City had the better of the opening play, obviously. But it took Trent Alexander-Arnold giving the ball away, Nathan Ake running through and giving a actually pretty decent pass to Erling Haaland. And then Haaland just doing what he does. I mean, the touch and then the quickness of shot was just phenomenal as usual. And he bagged his 13th goal of the season. But then TAA making up for it later on in the game with a little quick touch and shot of his own. That was, pretty reminiscent of Haaland's strike. Just not as brute force Viking-y as Haaland's was.
You got to figure if you ask both coaches, Klopp's got to be a lot happier with this because it's like you go into their building, you got the draw. You went down. You figured out a way to get back in. You didn't let yourself fall too far behind.
Like I said, this was a traditional top six battle, right? What was the old thing Mourinho said? Beat them at your place, draw them at theirs.
Yeah, that's all you got to do.
That's all you got to do. And then you're top of the league,
That's all you got to do.
Except for they did the draw them there and we're top of the league.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to kind of go on about the game, but there really isn't.
There's
much
not a lot of
else
talking
to
points
say.
there. Yeah, there really
and
isn't.
Moving on to Arsenal Brentford again. I say, not a great match.
No, I mean this was a bit more one-sided, and you could tell. I mean, if you look at the last game before the international break, and then you look at this one, how important fucking Martin Odegaard is to Arsenal, and in terms of their possession, in terms of their ability to turn the screw and create chances. There's just no two ways about it. He makes us tick. Period. I don't care what's going on the rest of the field. If he's not there, we struggle.
Yeah, yeah, it's
and
apparent.
that's very evident now. And I hope people, don't start targeting him.
Yeah, get him off. You heard him, get him off the pitch.
I think that front kind of 4 or 5 rotate enough that they're hard enough to keep track of that I don't know they can necessarily target him.
No, you really can't. Your guys all move around. There's a lot of fluidity to the top of your attack.
But it was just a pretty professional performance from Arsenal, minus the couple of shaky patches for Aaron Ramsdale, which was good to see. He got the clean sheet. That's not something I can say David Raya has done recently.
Right.
What I will say is I want Aaron Ramsdale to stay. I think the competition for places is a good thing. I think that the English media needs to step off Aaron Ramsdale's arse and let him be. That's a young man who over the last year or so had him and his partner had a miscarriage. Then they got pregnant again and had a baby. And then Arsenal buy David Raya. And then the media goes nuts. It's so disrespectful to the goalkeeper. This, that, the other. Both of them are saying the correct things, but nobody seems to be listening. They'd rather listen to Aaron Ramsdale's father on some podcast who he didn't have permission to go on, talking about Arteta's not being, honest with information or open with information with us and the family and and just treating my son like shit, just all this kind of stuff, which I don't think is true. Because
sorry, Dad, he doesn't have to owe you. He owes you nothing.
Aaron Ramsdale is a grown ass man.
The only person he needs to communicate with is Aaron Ramsdale, and he doesn't have to tell Aaron Ramsdale everything. Aaron Ramsdale is paid to put on that jersey and to play when asked to play. Right. That is his job.
And do his very best in training and try to get his place.
And that's
if Arsenal went and bought another striker, is everybody going to be up in arms for Gabriel Jesus? I don't think so.
Yeah, exactly.
Why is this position any different?
Yeah. And the curse of the commentator, the two commentators the whole time, all they're doing is talking about Ramsdale. And of course, he makes a few mistakes. You're just like,
but again, he came through the mistakes. And Declan Rice at one point, did it for him.
Saved him off the line.
Cleared him off the line. But the other piece to that is you saw how the Arsenal players are together. At full time, they were the first person he ran to.
Yeah.
And, of course, it's against Brentford, which is why Raya couldn't play, because I found this out, too. It is a Premier League rule. It's not something they just throw in the contract.
I thought it was.
But you can't play against your parent club. So Aaron Ramsdale was always going to play. But the whole stadium just chanting, "You're a shit David Raya," after the year this young man has had. I mean, it's no wonder it's affecting him, and you can see it in the performance. I mean, he was fucking steady Eddie last year.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you can see it in the performance. It's just it's unfair to him. And these are English fans, and this is the second choice England goalkeeper.
Yeah.
Well, when he get called up for England, is anybody on Pickford's ass?
Right. Precisely.
You shouldn't be playing. He's got normal size arms. Maybe we should play him. He's a little younger than you.
Southgate always just says it's his distribution. That's
but Aaron Ramsdale's good at distribution too. Yep. That's why we bought him.
Yep.
So it's I don't know, man. I think it's a lot of media shit, but anyway, I kind of also liked Trossard in that number 8 role. I thought he played well there, and it added another element of fluidity because he sometimes joined the attack instead of Odegaard. Right. That was interesting and gave us something a little different as well. But all in all, it was just a professional performance. We did what we had to do, and Kai Havertz got the goal, which he needed as well as we did. And if we're going to sustain a title challenge, it's going to take the full squad. So I'm glad he was there, and I'm glad he got the job done.
Yeah, you need somebody like Havertz to get you 8 goals this season. Yep. And let all 8 of those goals be real important ones.
And that assist from Saka becomes I think that was his 50th assist, and I believe he's now the fastest player ever to 50 Premier League goals, 50 goal involvements, 50 dribbles maybe. It was 50-50-50. It was 3 different categories. So I think it was assists/goals, like involvements. So a direct assist or a goal itself. 50 successful dribbles, and 50 something else. He's the only player in the league that's done that this season.
Very good. Very good. Now,
or fastest player to have done that, or whatever, something like that.
Now all eyes turn.
Now I don't remember the fucking thing. I lost confidence in myself.
All eyes turn to you. You're now the team at the top. Everybody's chasing you because honestly, that's how it works for the Prem is now everybody needs you to make a mistake. Do you think you make it through December without a slip? Because you haven't played Liverpool yet. There's a tough game there.
Yeah, it is a tough game, of course. That's the thing about this league, man, is there's a tough game at every. Wolves is a tough game. If Cunha's decided he wants to run, this coming weekend, that could be difficult.
Had a good goal today.
Yeah, he did. But our run in December looks Wolves, Luton, Villa away.
Villa away is not an easy task.
No.
Still haven't lost at home in the Premier League. They lost at home in the League Cup to Everton, but they haven't lost at home in the Premier League.
Sorry, Sam, you still don't get 3 points for that.
I know. God damn, if we could.
Then we got Brighton at home, and then 2 days before Christmas, we've got Liverpool away. So that's going to be our big test. So I think we'll come through December okay. Obviously, Villa away is going to be difficult facing Unai Emery. Villa's in top form right now.
Yep.
Luton and Wolves, those should both be wins. We should have 6 points on the board over the next 2 games with no real issue, I think. Especially Wolves midfield is a bit decimated now that Lamina's got his 5th card and will be suspended for this game. Yeah. So a whole new central midfield for Wolves. Also, by the way, if you want to check me out on the Whole Lot of Wolves podcast, our boy Paul LePage, I was on previewing Arsenal for them for their pod. So that was pretty cool. So thanks for having me on there, boys. But yeah, so, Villa, if we get through it with a draw, I wouldn't be disappointed because we're away. You know what I mean?
Right. But that's also City could win, and next thing you know, you're not,
Right. Brighton at home, we need to win that game.
Brighton's been a bogey team in the last couple of seasons.
But we need to win that game. Liverpool away, again, if we come up with a draw, then you turn around with West Ham, Fulham, Palace. We should be winning those, and then Forest all the way through January.
Yeah.
So if we can come through with 3 wins and 2 draws in December, I think we'll be sitting pretty, and we'll still we'll have a sustained title push.
You might be sitting in second at that point.
That's fine.
But then we'll also it becomes you have to beat City.
We have to play City again. Exactly right. So fuck them. Let's go do it. It's still in our hands at that point is the point.
Now, Villa and Tottenham, this was an actually very fucking entertaining match, despite the fact that VAR did everything in its power to slow it to a dead crawl.
What a start
celebrate
to the game.
anything anymore.
A hat trick of disallowed goals for Son. The children wept, Sam. The children wept.
I have
3
a question.
times.
I have a question for every Spurs fan out there. And I'm this is merely an observation. I'm not shitting on your
Yes, you are.
demigod and Harry Kane. But how, with a schnoz like that he had on his face, was he not called offsides more often and Son can't keep his cute little nose on side? How's that happening?
Yeah. It was, 4 goals total because you had right after Tottenham went up 1-0, Villa answered, and that got called offsides by basically a toe.
Literally.
It depended on which side you look at from this viewpoint. I'm like, all right, Ollie's off. You flip it around. Oh, no, Ollie's definitely on.
Yeah. And it's like both managers are like, and I don't know if it's just like Ange's energy. Mm-hmm. But it's like the Aussie, I don't know if it's just like the Aussie sphere, you know what I mean? Like if you're close enough to an Aussie, you're more likely to do something stupid. Why are both teams playing such a high line? And we say this every week.
Yeah.
It's like the central defenders are 2 yards beyond midfield, and both forward lines have fast players.
Yeah.
It's like, what are you doing? Have you never watched a game of football in your life?
Well, Mel, you
stick somebody 5 yards back there to play defense.
You brought that up at halftime when we did our little TikTok halftime check-in for you, about how just fast fucking Tottenham were playing the match.
They were controlling it, and if it wasn't for World Cup baton stopper Emi Martinez, did you see that video?
No.
We'll talk about Argentina. There was a fight broke out before the match against Brazil.
Oh, yeah. I did.
And
Actually,
the
I did
cops
see
were
this.
taking liberties, beating the Argentinian fans, and I did not take too kindly to that, and definitely swatted away a baton.
Swatting away everything.
Did he use his golden glove cock to do it? That would
No,
have
but
been
he
brilliant.
used his golden glove hand, like risked his whole career to do that. That's how
Could have broke
awesome
his
he
fucking
is.
hand when he threw up his hand
See,
like that.
this is what I'm saying. You like, where's Garnacho coming from?
Yeah,
You
that
threw-
world.
That's what I'm saying. You
That
fucking
world.
this cauldron atmosphere.
Yeah.
It just makes total sense.
But yeah, he was, my God, he was on the ball stopping, and defense was just. Tottenham should have scored so many times, but Villa just
That
shut
first
them
goal,
down.
that first chance, Pau Torres.
Oof.
That was an easier header than the one he put away.
Pow, pow, pow.
Yeah,
Pau Torres, that guy.
yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah, it was fantastic.
The first header was an easier one than the one that he actually scored. It was a better strike. It was all of those things, and he just put it a couple yards wide.
Here you go, Graham. Is it time to start taking Aston Villa seriously? Are they this year's Newcastle? Could they sneak their way into the top 4?
Absolutely, they could. We thought they were going to be in a lot of trouble when Tyrone Mings went down, but Ezri Konsa has stepped up immensely.
Very much so.
Diego Carlos coming back healthy has
Coming
been a
back
big
healthy has been
help
huge.
as
And
well.
every week, like, we get just more swagger and more confidence, and we figure out more teams.
And it's funny because you think about how Emery would typically coach these very kind of stout, resolute defensive sides. There's a lot of speed, a lot of pace, a lot of movement and passing to that Villa side. Like, it's fucking impressive what they're doing.
And I wonder now, because the rumors, and Mel, you heard me say this when I did the Whole Lot of Wool show earlier, is that the January rumor is that
That's been
Douglas
a rumor for a while.
Douglas Luiz is the top of our wish list.
He was this summer too.
Right. But I wonder if Yuri Tillman's now starting games and playing well after a bit of a shaky start to his career at Villa. I wonder if they're a little bit more comfortable now to let Douglas Luiz go.
Because you can let,
And he broke up with Ashley.
yeah. Well, they've been broken up for a while now.
And her name Ashley, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
It
Lehman?
is.
Yeah.
Yes.
No,
Yes,
Alyssa.
No, it's Ashley.
It's Ashley?
Ashley
yeah.
Lehman.
Yeah, Ashley Lemon. She's Swiss and the second best ass in the Aston Villa Football Club because we all know
Fucking John McGinn. Did you see him swing his left
John
peg at that thing too?
McGinn, the
That cross?
goalie. God, that was funny. What? I'm not. And as he's doing that, his backside is going right into the goalie. And at
I
one
think-
point, he just starts wiggling it.
I think the Spurs keeper
Is
was.
that what they call it? Where I'm from, they call that twerking.
I think the keeper for
When a
Spurs
Scotsman does it,
was
it's a wiggle.
was
Because they can't say twerk.
was being asked very serious questions to himself that he did not want to answer when you had that ass backing up on you.
I mean, you know what? Stick around for injury time at patreon.com// DU Football Show, because I'm pretty sure we might have a juvenile sighting to close out.
Holy shit.
Injury time.
Back that ass up. Very good. Fucking love it. Yeah, I gotta say, I think
I love your Wisconsin when you back that ass up.
I legitimately think we have to take Villa seriously. I think Villa is right in the hunt for a top 4 spot.
Yeah, I do too. What I would be
Especially
nervous
with their
about
home
is
form.
if they do get picked off in January for whatever reason, like if Douglas Luiz does have his head turned, can Yuri Tillmans fill that spot? I thought he did very well with Leicester. I thought he's a relatively proven Premier League midfielder, international, same as Douglas Luiz. Like I think he can do it. So I think you're going to have to take Villa seriously regardless. Ollie Watkins, and we'll talk about Raheem Sterling in a bit. I think they're going to be battling out really for that number 2 striking role
And-
for next summer at the Euros, and both of them are scoring relatively consistently. So,
Yeah.
I mean, as long as Villa stay healthy, you have to take them seriously at this point.
Rounding out the rest of the league, and so that happened. West Ham 2, Burnley 1, Luton 2, Palace 1, Brighton 3, Forest 2, Newcastle 4, Chelsea 1, Bournemouth 3, Sheffield 1, Fulham 3, Wolverhampton 2. Iron steal it at the death, and Burnley they can't fucking help themselves, man.
Nah, they really can't. It wasn't a very good game either, despite there being 8 shots on target, and possession being dead even. I thought it was played at a very slow pace, and even the winning goal from Souček looked like it happened in slow motion.
Yeah, it really did. You know what's funny in this is I feel like the first non-penalty in the first half
was more of a penalty than the penalty.
The one that it almost felt like it was a
makeup
call.
Thing. Yeah, I thought the same thing.
But it also ultimately didn't matter because just West Ham's not even a possession-based team. They just figured out a way to grind them down.
And Burnley
the
only
spots.
edged possession like 51.6% to 48.4.
And they just figured out a way. Grind it out, and it's
throw on the extra defender, figure it out. They just didn't do it.
Here's where I would say, when you feel more comfort in Everton versus Burnley when you're talking about teams at the bottom, right? Everton goes to West Ham, goes up 1-0, figures out a way how to be resolute and walk out 1-0, especially against a team that does not like to attack like West Ham. Burnley has them up 1-0 at home and lets them back in the fucking game and lets them win. Like that's when we talk about who stays up and who goes down, that's the fucking difference right there.
Yeah.
It's not how you do against each other. It's games like that.
Absolutely.
It's fucking games like that. Who sees it out? Who doesn't see it out?
But I also did you remember watching The Matrix for the first time and the bits that were slowed down.
Yep.
And then as Neo would dodge the bullet, then it would speed back up and it'd be regular speed again.
Right.
That's how it looked when the ball was coming into Souček's foot. And then it's fast forward got hit right as his ball struck the ball, right as his foot struck the ball.
Yep.
And then I went flying in the back of the net like fucking Joe Linton hit it.
Yep. Yeah, it's Burnley's got a big one this next coming week with Sheffield because Sheffield's just fucking hapless, and we'll get on to them. But Burnley, you got to start fucking figuring shit out soon. And company, you got to have a plan B, man.
There's got to be something else. You got to learn how to adapt, and he's just not doing it right now.
Is Kenilworth becoming a advantage for Luton? It's
this
just
is only their first win there, so I don't know that.
But then you couple that with the draw
with Liverpool,
yeah,
and they led for a long time in that game.
Yeah, you just start to feel like maybe the ground is starting to feel a little smaller. Maybe it's starting to feel a little more intense.
A little bit
that
more
crowd
overbearing.
Feels a little louder,
and the crowd are very close to you.
Yeah, it feels like it might be starting to work. How fucking disappointing from fucking Palace, though, man. You get your pieces back, and it just...
Yeah.
Really?
But the goals, the goals from Luton were pretty fortunate as well. The ball deflecting to Mengi for the opener.
Yeah.
That ball should have never been in that position.
Yeah.
Had the Palace defender made proper contact on it.
Fair.
But now, to his credit, he reacted to it well. And although it looked very helter-skelter, because I think he's a defensive midfielder, Mengi, it looked a little bit crazier than it was. It was actually quite a composed finish.
Yeah.
He just didn't do it ever so gracefully.
Now, this is a nice win for Luton, and you talk about, hey, look, you just need to worry about staying ahead of the teams that are behind you. But that's when the teams behind you were Bournemouth, Burnley, and Sheffield. And you look at a team like Everton, and Everton's better than you are. You beat them in their building, but Everton's a better overall side that you are. So now you can't make any mistakes. And it also doesn't help that Bournemouth now got 2 on the bump.
That's right.
That point distance is bigger now, and Bournemouth has a little room to fuck up again, right?
Yeah.
Which is, so you start to look at all of that, and you wonder how it's all going to shape out. And obviously the point deduction to Everton throws a huge monkey wrench and gives a lot of opportunity to what we thought were clearly the 4 worst teams in the league. Well, and honestly, my opinion still doesn't change. They're still the 4 worst teams in the league.
They are. Now, here's another flip side thing. Like we talked about adverse effects and unintended consequences to actions, right? I am going to find it interesting when the appeal process happens, if they decide to reverse their decision or lessen their decision.
Mm-hmm.
How do these 3 teams, or at least these 2 teams that won this weekend in Bournemouth and Luton, how will they react going, well, if we knew they were getting 5 points back, we would have done things differently here?
You gotta play the games.
But what I'm saying is this process, and this is where I think the mayor of Manchester is spot on, and the process is fucked. This needs to happen quickly. It needs to happen decisively. and even the appeals process.
Yeah.
And there should be an appeals process.
By January
absolutely.
1, we need an answer. Now, also, Everton
because
has to
you can't leave all these people in limbo.
They have to appeal that by the end of this week. So the appeal
Right.
gets put in formal writing by the end of the week. And obviously, they're talking to their attorneys. They want to make sure it's, written perfectly, because that's how you're going to plead your case.
Well, absolutely. Yeah.
Because unfortunately, you pled guilty and you got found guilty. So
Correct.
You're kind of throwing yourself at the mercy of the court, but the court already decided you deserve 10 points.
But arbitrarily decided they deserve 10 points because it's a ridiculous number.
Also have arbitrarily said that it's a case by case basis. So if
at the end
fact,
of the
so if in fact
weird.
City gets caught, they could just go, no, we decided that a financial situation would be more indicative to them.
The other thing I believe is I don't think points deduction should be a thing.
I tend to
personally.
agree. It's a financial situation.
It's a financial situation.
Fine.
It should be a fine. It should be a transfer ban because it's over involving the finances of transfers and all that kind of stuff. Fine, do those things, great. But the actual results on the field have to do with the players' performance. Why are we punishing the players? They have no say in any of this.
Yeah, true.
They had no say in those decisions. They didn't ask to get bought necessarily, or whatever.
Right.
So I think that's wrong to begin with. And like I said, if we're playing under this set of circumstances right now with Luton and Bournemouth, and then they go on a 3-game losing streak, and this new commission decides, after the appeal,
It's 6, not 10.
it's 6, not 10, and all of a
suddenly
sudden they're
4
the relegation
points, they're
zone
out.
going.
Yeah.
Right. It's like, oh fuck, hey, wait a second. We've been here working hard because of this.
Everton can make the same argument that
I'm
we
just
were
saying
working hard and we're at 14th place.
All I'm saying is that it's they're creating more problems for themselves. Is my point.
This is starting to turn into a VA argument where it'll dominate everything. So let's move on to Brighton and Forest. Forest see their first loss at the City Ground in a while. And honestly, I got to say, Brighton were fucking fortunate, to be quite honest with you.
They were. Lewis Dunk. Did you hear what happened? And I want to know what you think here. Mm-hmm. Did you hear what he said?
No, I did not
see
hear
what he said. Why he got his red card?
No, I did not.
So he turned around, I guess, was obviously protesting the foul that was called against him. And he says something along the lines of, fuck you, you bold prick, or you fucking bold prick. It was some amalgamation of those words in a sentence to the official,
That's
he
funny.
then turned around and you saw his big surprised face. And then the second yellow come out for dissent. I thought that, and as a bold man, how do you feel?
I'm okay with it. Here's the funny part is because everybody on the commentary was like, well, last defender, that's why he saw the yellow.
No.
And no.
That's why I saw the yellow, yeah.
It's called,
But the second yellow was the bold prick.
Was the bold prick.
Fucking bold prick.
I love it. Fucking
which
love
is
it.
absolutely
Too funny.
brilliant.
For Brighton, though, an escape is an escape. They drew the last 3.
Yeah.
This is
They needed the win. It was
City
helpful.
Ground's not an easy place to win. That's
It's
a
obviously
nice
helpful
little
that
win.
Onyu was out. That's huge.
And now that he's going to be out for a significant amount of time,
Correct.
too, because he got injured again after just getting back to the field.
Correct.
Yeah, that's going to be really tough for them. Now, I mean, Wood filled in nicely while he was away, but is Wood a long-term? Yeah, I know. Dick jokes. Is Chris Wood a long-term fill-in? I would say no. He does score goals in the Premier League.
They tend to be meaningless.
Yeah, it's some weird stat. Like I think for 5 seasons in a row, he scored 10 or more goals, and it's like the most meaningless 10-goal scorer in all of football.
Actually didn't gain any points from him or something.
You're right, precisely.
You know what else is funny? De Zerbi did the old run on the field to the away fans. Obviously, he felt aggrieved by the decision to send Dunk off, and how the game was going. He obviously was pissed off. Didn't shake Steve Cooper's hand.
Oh, really?
Well, he just went running at the final whistle towards the away fans. Almost pulled a clop and a hamstring.
Too funny.
He jumped to fist bump, and if you watch him, when he lands, he slips. One of his feet goes. That could have been a groin.
Could have been a groin.
Very close, and you could see his face like, "Ooh, shit." Yeah, get it.
That's not good. Brighton next up to have Chelsea, and missing Dunk is going to be a big
miss for them.
miss for that.
Absolutely.
What a win for the Magpies, man. Now, I mean, it certainly helps that Chelsea just boneheaded move after boneheaded move, and just their youth. We'll say it nicely. Their youth showed in this match.
Oh, yeah.
You know, their youth definitely showed in this match. And it was just, God, good for Newcastle to get that kind of a win. I also think a lot of that win wasn't just the work they did, but the fact that Chelsea kind of fucking handed it to them. They said, here, just go ahead and beat the shit out of us.
Yeah, Chelsea made some mistakes, obviously. And Reece James ended up getting the red card for, was it sarcastically clapping the referee is just stupid.
Yeah.
It's just stupid.
Just don't give them a decision to make.
But that being said, it was already 3-1.
Yeah.
It was already 3-1. They had 2 goals in very quick succession.
Mm-hmm. Oh, the minute they scored number 2, number 3 was right after that.
I want to know when Joe Linton's going to come down from this most recent international bender he had. 'Cause I don't know if you saw that second game he played for Brazil.
No, I did not.
And I think he was substituted in, but in about 15 minutes, he came in, was handed a yellow, had 2 shots, I think, maybe 2 on target, actually. Was literally just going 1,000 miles an hour, and in the 15th minute of his total of 15 on the field, got a second yellow card, got sent off. And it was just like, fucking more lines on the plane on the way back to the UK, baby! Because you saw him when he came in here. He was just like, just fucking like methed out of his mind. Just
doing
go,
his best Ric Flair. Styling and profiling.
Woo!
Chelsea, you want to ride Space Mountain?
Woo! And I don't know why. So he's also, I found this out today. This isn't an official stat, by the way. This is just an observation by a pundit. The absolute best player in the Premier League at missing point blank headers, which he did in this game once or twice. But then also, he was inside the 6 when he shot for his goal and literally hit it as hard as he possibly fucking could.
Oh, yeah.
And then ran to the side like he was about to Hulk smash the whole corner of the fucking stadium. I was like, I want to do those drugs.
Jesus.
Why can I not find those drugs around here? My job would be so much easier if I could do those drugs.
Your job would be done in 30 minutes. You would drive from Anne Arundel County to Northern Carroll County in 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Incoming! Oh, man.
Like a fucking kamikaze pilot, this guy. It was absolutely insane. Brilliant to see, though. Love it. I love the energy. It's fantastic.
As we mentioned before, Cherries get 2 in a row. I need to ask this question yet again. Why is Heckenbottom still employed?
Don't know.
I'm baffled. I'm baffled. He should be fired.
I mean, excuse me. It only took 11 minutes for a pretty bad team to score against a terrible team.
Yeah. Yeah.
At home.
Yeah. And then the second
they
goal
were at home.
Like just
It's just pitiful.
Sheffield's final goal was in garbage time.
Right.
And it was just like, that's the best you can offer. I mean, the fans are booing him off the field. The fans are frustrated, and I get it. Like, and it just doesn't seem like the club cares, the team cares, the coach cares. Nobody fucking cares. They're just like,
look at
we're going back down.
Just look at the second and third goal. Tell me Sheffield United deserve to stay in the league.
They don't.
It's fucking pitiful. It's schoolboy stuff. It really is. It's schoolboy stuff.
It's really, really fucking bad. It truly is bad. And
now, Kluivert did well to get his goal, but 7/10 of it was done for him because the goalkeeper fucked up as
absolutely
poorly as he did.
Yeah, he just. So for the Cherries, this is 2 in a row, but let's also look at what it was. You're playing a very poor Sheffield team, and you beat a completely depleted Newcastle team.
Yeah,
and you had them in your building.
Yeah,
which you should win that one.
Right. I mean, anything gets you confidence. Points on the board get you confidence. Yeah. However, yeah, there's a lot of reasons that they should look at that and still be weary of themselves.
Yeah,
definitely. But like I said, with Sheffield United as well. You've got Ali McBurney was only the second shot on target, and it was the 97th minute. It was essentially the last kick of the fucking game.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? So even if you take that Kluivert goal out because of Heckenbottom's fuck up, right? Even if you take that away, you're still 2-0 at home, 1-0 down after 11 minutes. And you're not even threatening. You're not even trying, it doesn't look like. It's scary times for the Blades, man.
Yeah.
If I had season tickets, I might not go. And you know what I mean? This would be the time where I just didn't show up to the stadium. Like, fuck you guys.
And for the Cherries,
I
I
have
think
better things to do on a Saturday.
The Cherries, there'll be a big dose of reality because next up is Villa going into their building. Villa will make them pay.
Yep.
Villa will absolutely
Big time.
make them pay.
I think so.
We both called it when we did the preview show last week for injury time. We said to the neutral, Fulham and Wolves is going to be very entertaining.
Yep.
Who would have thought there was going to be 3-2 with two teams that have that struggle at scoring?
And a hat trick of penalties.
A hat trick of penalties certainly helps it.
2 of which were a bit soft.
Yeah, it was. They're soft, but the penalties, like we said with the Ashley Young one, that is what the Premier League is now. And if you've got that still frame shot of a foot touching the guy, it's getting fucking called.
You should have heard. So I had to listen to this in the car. Obviously, Mondays I'm still working. So I was on XM listening to the game, and they just pick up the Talk Sport feed from England. Is how they broadcast their game. So I'm getting the English commentary, and the two announcers were like worse than Arteta's press conference about the refereeing. The refereeing in this game has been appalling. And then he goes, was it Tom Kearney that went down for the final penalty, for the last penalty in stoppage time for Willian to put away? I said that he goes looking for the contact. If he gives this is an embarrassment. Like all this kind of stuff. Very strong language from the commentators.
The minute you look at the screen,
and
that's going to get called.
There's the thing. And he goes, the VAR is still looking at this. He goes, I think he might give this. And then he goes, they're telling him to go to the screen. And then he goes, the color guy was like, oh, color commentator, by the way.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for
just making sure
we sort that out.
Making sure everything's above board. Don't need any Colorado incidents around here, okay? And he was like, you know what they say, man. The game's gone. Game's gone. The game's lost its head. It's finished. This is a travesty. He was like, I might as well not even finish commentating on this game. It is embarrassing. It's pitiful, man.
Now, something worth mentioning, a little incident that's worth mentioning is Vinicius comes on as a sub for Raul Jimenez. Within a few minutes of being on, he gets knocked over by Max Kilman.
Yep.
Gets up, puts his head right up against Kilman, bumps him in his nose. Kilman grabs his nose. Mm-hmm. What Kilman didn't do, which is what you normally see happen, is fall on the ground and roll around on the ground like you're dead. VAR didn't even give it a look. He got a yellow card and they went on with it.
Yep.
That is no different than when they barely put their heads together. One guy barely nudges and the other guy falls on the ground and feigns death. It's like, there's already enough of a problem with people talking about how soccer players flop and roll around. And it's like, here was exactly the foul that normally happens that you call all the time. But because the big fucker didn't hit the deck, it's not a penalty. And it's almost like hindsight. If he falls on the ground, they're down to 10 men. That penalty probably never happens. You probably walk out of there with a fucking point.
Yeah. Could be.
It just, that kind of baffled me. It just really rubbed me the wrong way because I already don't like the whole head-to-head thing. I think it's, kind of, soft and babyish to fall on the ground with that, but he definitely took his head and he made contact with the other player's head forcefully, directly. And to not even look at it? To not even look at it was fucking ridiculous. It's like, if VAR is going to fucking freeze frame everything, why not that? Why not that? Why is that not looked at?
Yeah. I don't have an answer for you. It should be.
Hard-hitting analysis, Mr. Graham.
There's no, yeah. I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why right now. That's why.
Corrupt.
Sure money.
A lot less sure these last couple weeks. I'll tell you that. I am getting nervous. Mm-hmm. I am now only up $153.
Yeah.
So I'm sliding closer and closer and closer back down to even Steven.
What do you got for the couple losers there, stud?
Newcastle fucked me again.
Newcastle fucked you again.
Thank you. The Mags are dropping pies on my betting.
Yeah, well, I believed you called it a quaint bet. A quaint bet is what I believe you called it.
That. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah,
so I was a little drunk.
I didn't retype the beginning of my part here for Kitty Chicken, so you don't see, but I just want to say, my quaint bet fucking hit, and I'm now up $461, which puts me in the lead.
Big Sam's Lock of the Week.
Did you know 33.3?
Oh, here we go with this.
90% of the time, it works 100% of the time. I'm going to go real simple. Despite the loss of Dunk, I'm taking Brighton to beat Chelsea at the Bridge plus 360. Odds are too fucking good not to.
Yeah.
Because they're still a very good team. And I know they don't play well at the Bridge. They typically lose at the Bridge. That's why the odds are 360. But Chelsea is also Chelsea.
Yeah.
And they love to fuck shit off. They have a lot. So I don't have anything to add to the Cup Losers, Sam, because my bet hit. Like, most of my bets hit. Like, I actually hit on bets. You just swing for home runs.
Please don't speak over the sound cues, please.
Didn't expect her to fucking hit it. Mel, good job being so quick on the keys there. My apologies for getting in the way of it.
And now, it's time for our degenerate gambling friend Pat's Pick of the Week.
If you're wondering why that's funny, patreon.com/Team Football Show. You got to listen to sound check. All right, so our degenerate gambling friend Pat had this to say, because it's very late and he has to work very early. And I quote, "Okay, well, because of some sage advice, I'm now down $500.
Not good gambling.
I'm sure it was the whiskey's fault, but now that I'm of sound mind, also debatable, I'm ready to run. I'm ready to turn the RMS Titanic before hitting the iceberg." All right, good. So, yeah, when it HMS, isn't it Her Majesty's ship? And
It doesn't matter.
All right. So this week I'm going to do a 3-game parlay. So maybe I've decided to just steer straight into the Berg. Oh, well, we'll see. I'll take Newcastle over Man U, Arsenal over Wolves, and City over Spurs. That pays off on a $100 bet at $320. Please remember to not drink and gamble. I'll talk to you next week when we've got a full week of picking games.
Terrible with money.
Yeah.
That especially that Spurs City. Spurs has been giving City a tough time lately.
Uh-huh.
Now, I know they're very injured, but Spurs has been giving City a tough time. That could be interesting.
Yeah, agreed.
It could
Very
still be a
much
very
agreed.
interesting game. All right, you ready for mine?
Yep.
Because this one is guaranteed to hit, I think. So I've got to be careful. I got the danger of being down soon, as I said before. But I've got Arsenal over Wolves, Brentford over Luton. Here's another fun fact about Brentford. They've only lost 3 out of their last 23 games at home. 2 of those were to the Arsenal. So I don't care what kind of form Luton are in. I think Brentford's dominating at the Brentford Community
Grammy
Stadium.
folding.
You know who else they lost that other one to?
Who?
Everton.
All right. So Arsenal over Wolves, Brentford over Luton, Burnley or draw with Sheffield, because I have a feeling they may fuck it off in the 97th minute again. Newcastle over Manchester United, I think.
9-way parlay.
And then Villa over Bournemouth pays me out on a $100 bet at plus 770.
All right.
And I think that is a sexy time bet. That
Okay. Well, if I hit mine, I think I'd still be ahead of you.
we'll see.
Okay.
It'll be close.
That's right. We have a chicken.
Like, what are you doing?
Just letting you keep you on your toes there with the sound cues, Miss cuts one off.
Well, Kitty took the week off and sits at 7-4. So this week, I gave her Brentford hosting Luton. Now, Kitty quickly showed me a Polaroid of her enjoying a seaside brunch with Phil Collins, Cameron Diaz, and our very own Jane Ferrari. Now, I know we're all confused by the group, but one thing they all have in common is their love of the bees. So it looks like Kitty is taking Brentford to win this weekend. And do remember to always gamble legally and responsibly.
Very good. Very good. Well, that is going to wrap it up, boys and girls. Mr. Graham, any parting words?
I don't think so. I think we pretty much covered
Our thoughts of the Premier
our
League.
thoughts of the Premier League, of the Independent Regulatory Commission.
Yeah, remember, it's not the Premier League's fault, right?
Yeah,
They just
it's-
want to upkeep the integrity of the league.
I think, I think that pretty much covers everything that we need to cover. I mean, there's some other people that probably should be thrown under the bus, but I think we'll leave them for another time.
Very good.
I think this is more important because it's the game as a whole.
Yep. Agreed. Agreed. All right. That's going to wrap it up, boys and girls. Next up is injury time, where we're going to check in on our adopted club, see how we're doing in fantasy football. And, of course, we're going to preview the weekend's action and talk about the beers we've been drinking. Graham, should somebody want to find Injury Time, how they go about doing it?
One last time for you. It's patreon.com/DU Football Show. Just sign up to that $5 tier. You get all of our extra content. As Sam said, that is sound check. That is Injury Time. So us catching up personally from the weekends and then previewing the whole week's action. So good stuff.
Love it.
A lot of good stuff. Sometimes you even get videos of us in kilts.
And of course, for your holiday shopping needs, should you want to get a lovely shirt with caricatures of myself and Graham talking on mics, the one that gets so famously used for Graham in underwear model promotions.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
Go to the DU Drip Shack and buy all of your fun DU goods for everybody on your holiday shopping list this year.
Yeah, and that's dudripshack.com. Very easy. And if you go to the link in any of our social media bios, that link tree there has links to everything you need. Other podcast platforms that we're on. It's got the Drip Shack. It's got the Patreon. It's got everything you need there. So just make sure you're checking that out. It's at DU Football Show on all your social medias.
All right. Till next week, everybody.
Good night. Wait, VAR. It's not good night yet. Oh, wait. Yes, it is. Fuck you. 8-hour deduction.
Born in the land of Bowie, Maryland. Bred to be a fan of fucking Everton. Punch you in the eye and drink your rye. Sam Houston.
Sam Houston.
Arsenal fans have another Sam. AKA the fucking Gooner Graham. Smells of a lord. Look straight in shorts. Sam Grammy.
Sam Graham.
Brooklyn United! Brooklyn United! Hit the fucking mute button!